He's coming in strong day after a Cubs con. We'll
Yep.
call it Cubs con hangover and then a Bears hangover. But we got Cole Wright in the studio with us talking about what is the Cubs' next move right here on the setup, man. Let's get to it. Cole, what's up, dude? Thank you for joining us. And how you doing after that tough defeat last night?
Oh man, I mean, the Bears were right there, and it looked like everything was perfectly positioned for them to go on and get that win and take on the Seattle Seahawks, but not meant to be. I mean, that was a tough interception for Caleb Williams. I think there's a whole bunch that goes into that play, but yeah, it was a tough loss. Tom Waddle and I were doing post game and sitting there, and we're like, oh boy, here it comes. And we kept saying like, okay, when they win this game, here's what's going to happen. And unfortunately, it didn't happen.
And I know that like growing up, you weren't, you lived in a completely different area, but like I'm assuming you've become somewhat of like Cubs fan, Chicago fan, Bears fan. Where does your Bears fandom like kind of stand next to where your Cubs fandom has become?
Well, I'm from Chicago, so I'm day
Oh,
one
you
with
are.
with
I
with
didn't think
with
you were
all
from
these teams.
Chicago.
So come on now. I mean, I'm when you think about when you're going to get carpet, you 588 300. There's no 1-800 prefix on Empire back in the day. No, it's I mean nothing tops the Cubs. I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest. I mean, baseball shaped and molded my entire life. And this is the team that I cheered for growing up. I mean, were there stops along the way when I was a huge Frank Thomas fan? Yes, I played first base, and he was the most dominant first baseman in all of Major League Baseball at a certain point. But my Cubs fandom, I mean, I have a picture with my mom and my dad in the Sears Tower and the picture booth when I was like 4 years old with my Cubs hat on. So, I mean, I've been a Cubs fan since day one. I mean, it's funny because I was more of a football fan as a little kid. Like when I was 5 years old, I wanted to be Walter Payton. And I thought I was
Oh,
going to
that's cool.
be the best football player ever. And then we started playing wiffle ball in the neighborhood, and the football dreams quickly turned into baseball ones. So I'm a
Very
my
nice.
Cubs fandom. Nothing trumps that. It'll always be top of the mountain.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, we got a few people in the comments. We're doing this thing live, so welcome in.
Come on,
We're gonna
let's
talk.
go.
Yeah, let's get the comments going. Let's get some questions going for Cole. We got him here for basically the next half hour ish. Where I want to start though, Cole, is we got to see the introduction of Alex Bregman in his press conference,
Yep.
and then you and Elise got to have a nice little sit down, a little more intimate conversation with him. Tell me about first impressions of Alex Bregman. Is he the same guy off camera as he is on camera? Just comes across as a very professional, well-spoken guy who seems like he really cares about this game and cares
Yep.
about his future teammates here too.
Well, he's a dude. I mean, and if you can just simply put it, he's one of those guys that you want to play with. You want him around you. He just seems to be that. I mean, everyone's been saying, "Oh, he's that baseball rat," but he's just a guy who loves baseball. I mean, if you put it like that, I mean, I covered LSU at my third stop along my career, and I was able to build a pretty strong relationship with Alex's former head coach, who's now the head coach of South Carolina in Paul Maneri. And as soon as I heard the news, the first thing I did was I messaged Paul, and I was like, Paul, I'm like, Alex is coming to the Cubs, and it was that was a year ago too when I was trying to recruit Alex Bregman, direct messaging him because we follow each other on Twitter and talking with Paul. But when I asked him
Right.
when the acquisition finally went through, I said, my coach, like, let me know, like, if you could sum Alex Bregman up in one sentence, what would it be? And he said, I've never been around anyone who loves baseball more. That was the first quote, and then the second one was his teammates are going to love him. So I mean, just being able to chat with him for a little bit, like I said, that we've had a following of each other on social media for a few years now. I think it's that LSU connection, and just sitting down with him for the first time, being able to talk face to face, and he just seemed like he's ready to go. You could see like that little sparkle in his eyes because you saw the picture when he was a kid when he had the Cubs hat on. So I
Yeah.
think that it goes a long way. And his pop said it was a proud dad moment to see that his son's now a member of the Chicago Cubs. So just being able to talk with him, and then at CubsCon when he came and sat down with Boog and I, at the end, he threw out a "Go Tigers," which was funny. And then when we cut the interview, he's like, "Hey man, he's like, you ever give Dansby any guff, for being a Vanderbilt guy?" And I'm like, no, not really, because I didn't go to LSU, and Dansby's pretty serious, so I think if I go up there, go up to him and say, "Go Tigers," he's probably going to tell me to hit the bricks. So, but it is cool to know that Alex is a dude like that. He's going to come in, he's going to have fun, he's going to be, gracious with the media and treat everybody the same. So everything I've seen from him so far is A plus. When he came in and spoke with Elise and I in studio, I don't know if you saw the clip, but he went and spoke to the control room. He's like, "Hey, what's going on, control room? What, like, can't wait for Cubs baseball this season." So it's just the little things. It's like I feel like he's a guy who treats everybody the same.
You've heard about it. There was, a couple quotes out there of like, hey, even when Alex was hurt this year, how much he meant to the Red Sox and how he helped them win games, even when he wasn't on the field. As a former ball player, as a sports dude, as a guy that also gets in the trenches with these guys, you get to have pretty good relationships with a lot of these players from what I've come to know about you. How much does that really matter? Because from a fan standpoint, we hear about chemistry, we hear about camaraderie, we hear about all that stuff, and we're kind of like, yeah, but like, what are the numbers at the end of the day? How much does that, do you think, really mean to the success of this team going forward for the next 5 years under his contract?
I think it means a lot. I think that, teams that, it sounds funny, but teams that eat together win together. And maybe you could even say teams that eat together, because it seems so small, but every guy that I've had a chance to work with and that's talked about their major league career, some of their fondest memories are those show dinners as they're called in the game. Like, when the whole gang gets going and 15 dudes go out to eat, or 20, or the pitching staff or whatever it may be, a close-knit cluster of dudes get together and they talk about the game, they talk about life, they talk about everything that's all encompassing, and that's when you're really able to go to battle for each other. And when those guys are able to do that and dig in, I think there's, not to say there weren't show dinners before, because I think last year you probably saw a lot of that. I think that this year you're going to maybe see, they're going to expand. You might see more of them, but I feel like adding a dude like Alex Bregman to that clubhouse, I feel like he just makes that team bond that much more strong.
I think that's a good place to be able to transition to CubsCon, because what you're describing seems like it is the 2016 Cubs who were just there for the reunion. One of the quotes that comes to mind is Anthony Rizzo, I think, was talking to 670 The Score. I was watching it on YouTube a couple days ago, and he was like, just to be able to get back together with the guys, have shots with them, have dinner with them, like it felt like he was back in 2016, that he would do, they would do that all the time. So that's really cool to be able to pull some parallels from that. I will ask you though, from CubsCon, first of all, how cool is it to see that 2016 crew back together, minus Bryant, which is still like weird that he wasn't there, but that had to be awesome.
Yeah, I feel like for the active players, I mean, it kind of makes sense. And I know, other organizations don't want to see their players being paraded out there, and whether it's ticky tack or not, or I also heard that there was not a mandate from Colorado, so whatever reason it was, there's going to be a 20-year reunion. There might be a 15-year reunion, and who knows, it might coincide with another World Series championship.
Yeah,
so
let's go.
We'll see KB around, we'll see Javi around soon enough. So, but to see the guys who were back, and to see Kyle Hendricks, I mean, man, when I introed the team and everyone came on out, all the guys came by and gave him a dap, and when Kyle came through, it was like, I haven't seen him since he's been gone, and to be able to give him a five and give him a hug, man. It was pretty cool to see those guys.
What was the vibes? I was getting texts from people that like this year's CubsCon, even though you could argue, right, that Kyle Tucker coming to the Cubs a year ago may have been a little more exciting than Alex Bregman coming to the Cubs this year. You could argue that, but what I heard was that the vibes there this year were like, it was packed. It was like oversold. There was like some people that were just like ready to stampede to get into the ballroom. Like, what was the vibes that you were getting?
Logistically, it looked like there were more people, but once opening ceremony started, I know like the thoroughfare right in front of the ballroom, it thinned out. And how do I know that? Because my body temperature cooled off about 15 degrees, and it almost felt like someone turned on like a huge gust of air. So once the opening ceremonies opened up, I had to go from the set that we had, there's a little sneak route around. So I was able to go around back, walk in there. But I mean, it did have a crazy vibe to it, man. And I feel like I felt like there were more people there this year, and I think it was to see all those familiar faces from 2016. But last year also had, I mean, the place was shaking, and I don't think it was because of Kyle Tucker. I think it was because of number 21, Sammy Sosa, making his
Yep.
return to the
Yep.
team for the first time in 21 years. And, to see a lot of special guys like 2016 and have that squad, that there were similar parallels. I mean, people have been clamoring to see Sammy for a long time. People wanted to see that 2016 team for quite some time as well. So, I think to have those on back-to-back years, it just reemphasizes just how important Cubs convention is, and how it really is the unofficial official kickoff, to each and every single season, man. It's fantastic.
Was there anything, CubsCon is really about the fun for the fans. It's about getting reconnected with the team and everything. But every once in a while, right, you hear some things, whether it's from Jed or from Carter or Tom or someone on the team, that you're like, oh, that's cool. That's
Mhm.
interesting. Anything that you heard that was a takeaway that you think is important for fans to know that weren't there?
I think that there was no mention of going over the competitive balance tax. That it was the right there, and I think that there's still going to be additions that look to be made, and that's a good sign. I mean, normally the groundwork will be laid at Cubs convention. You'll know, okay, the moves are done. Here's what we're going to do. In years past, you've heard Jed and Carter and Tom always make mention of smart spending, which is fantastic. When you look at it, because not for nothing, I know a lot of fans, they want that knee-jerk reaction. They see these guys getting these crazy long contracts and these colossal deals, monetarily. But you go back and look at the Tatis deal, 14 years. Like when that deal's done, my daughter's going to be 26 years old. She's not even in high school yet. I mean, come on, man. Like, what are we talking about here? So when you look at smart spending, I think that allows you to position yourself to make moves like the Cubs are making right now. And to be able to bring in an Edward Cabrera, to be able to bring in an Alex Bregman, to be able to pinpoint some of these bullpen guys that are coming off of, maybe a season that they wouldn't have liked, health wise. And I think like I said, it's all about positioning and putting yourself in that best position to go out there and win ball games. And right now, I mean, I think I would have to say, even though the Brewers won the division, the Cubs might be the division favorites right now. And I'm not basing that on what prognosticators say or
Yeah.
what a lot of these, predictors say, because I mean, if a pickup game of baseball or wiffle ball broke out, you wouldn't want any of those dudes on your team. So I'm just going by what my eyes see and the lineups that I know. I think that this is a bunch of dudes that are going to be in the trenches together. I think they're going to be locked in, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun baseball through 162 this summer.
Let me ask you a question, especially based on where they were at the trade deadline last year. And I know the trade deadline really didn't work out for many teams, if any, aside from
Yeah.
maybe the Padres, who unloaded a lot. Um, would you say it would surprise you that they go over the tax threshold right now rather than doing it at the trade deadline of 2025, given just how competitive both of those teams are? If they didn't do it at the trade deadline, my thought going into the offseason, well, they're not going to do it for the 2026 season either. And I think a lot of fans shared in that. And so to see them like say, hey, we're right there and we're probably going to go over, or at least some reports are saying that, is like a really nice breath of fresh air. And I always come from the perspective of Cole is I care about wins. But this team, if they go over the threshold right now, it's going to equal wins. That's just where they are. And so, anyway, I just want to see if you're surprised about that.
It's not surprising because the ability to do so, it's there, and I don't think there's anybody that's in those Cubs offices on the fourth floor at Gallagher Way that doesn't want to see a winning ball club out there. And I know sometimes it's easy when people are on the outside looking in to say, well, this, that, and that. But most teams they are restricted. They don't have the ability and the flexibility to make as many moves as, say, a team like the Dodgers, who are making ridiculous moves. And sometimes the moves don't even make any sense because, I mean, you see on paper what the Kyle Tucker deal is worth, but that took them into a next level of that CBT, and they're paying even more money for that. And, not to knock a guy like Kyle Tucker because, I mean, is he productive when he's healthy? Absolutely. However, when you're the highest AAV player in all of Major League Baseball, essentially, I think you'd want to see a guy have at least maybe one 40 home run season or one
Right.
season of a full bill of health. And I mean that's not That's not his fault. The fact that he went out there and got that deal, that his agency, they're able to do that. I mean, that is unbelievable. And it almost makes me not even harp on the Juan Soto deal anymore, because the Juan Soto deal looks like it makes sense. But in essence, no one should be getting paid in the same ballpark as Shohei Ohtani, because no one right now has the same skill set, even the offensive skill set. If he was as good of a hitter as Shohei Ohtani, then maybe you would somewhat understand. But I mean, there's only a few guys that can even make mention that they're in that same stratosphere. I mean, Aaron Judge, the fact that deal is so much more than Aaron Judge's AAV is absolutely nuts. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think that there's so much that goes into a season. There's so much that goes into players and contracts. And like I said, tip of the cap to Kyle Tucker and his representation, because it's a pretty good deal for a guy who's never hit more than 30 home runs on the nose, and he's only done that twice. I mean, Alex Bregman has a 41 home run season. So,
Yeah.
you know, with the guys that are around him, we'll see. Like, it would be crazy. Imagine like to go to anyone's job and you be the fifth or fourth most important person on your team, add in the pitching staff, but you're still the highest paid dude. Like, what?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
In this case, I guess second highest paid, unless you include the deferrals. But I mean, we could have a whole conversation probably about the CBA, but that's not what I want to talk about right now. But yeah, it's crazy what the Dodgers are doing, what Kyle Tucker had decided to do, and you can have your opinion on that. But I want to focus more.
You know what? I really think, I mean, we might have to go back to this, bookmark this moment, but I think that Andy Pages is going to have a more productive season than Kyle Tucker.
Wow.
Maybe that's nuts, but Andy Pages was a dog last year. Everyone's like, oh, that dude's garbage. Like, okay, because he had an off postseason as a rookie, brightest lights. It's not easy to play baseball, especially under those circumstances. So I think that Andy Pages, he's better. He's a better defender. I mean, clearly a different position. However, I mean, he's got the pop. He has the ability to stretch, base hits into doubles. Yeah. I think you're going to see a more productive season. But maybe we can go back to it at the end of the year. We'll see. I
don't disagree. I think we talk about it a lot, myself and Alex and Ty, my co-host, and we're always like, there's just something about doing a trade with the Astros and the Rays where you're just like, you kind of want to just stay away from it from now on.
What do they know that we don't know?
Exactly. Yep. And you saw that with Presley. And I think there's a level of the willingness that they had to give away for Tucker had nothing to do with injuries. And it had a lot more to do with some of the rumors going around right now of just like, how bad does this dude want it? Is he a dog, or is he just a talented guy who doesn't want to apply himself? And
you know what? I mean, a lot of you could always look, and sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover. Like, we don't know how bad he wants it. Nobody really knows. Like, you think that he wants to go up there and not be as productive as possible? Absolutely not. So I sometimes think that there's a whole lot extra that's made of things like that, because once again, like I said, that some of the people that are saying that about this dude are people that you would never want in your pickup team. Even if you're playing kickball, like, okay, you can just maybe sit this one out. We'll take the extra out when your spot in the lineup rolls around. So sometimes you can take those opinions for a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you can't look at that guy and say, well, his body language tells me that he doesn't want it. I mean, is that what you can perceive? Like, sometimes perception is a whole lot different than reality. So
for sure. Agreed. It is funny though when you go online and you see the Twitter remarks from Cubs fans, and I'm going to be honest, I had them myself, where it's just like, is this guy really in? Is he bought in? There's just no way to tell unless you actually get inside his head, or probably are his wife.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the thing about it is, it's like everyone's like, oh, yeah, Kyle Tucker for a rental, you got nothing back in exchange, and blah, blah, blah. Well, the one thing you did get in exchange is to know that maybe he's not our guy, and maybe he's better suited on another team. And I feel like that just doesn't necessarily apply to Kyle Tucker. That applies to a lot of guys that you pick up in that situation, whether it's on a 1-year deal at the trade deadline, you only have him for 2 months and change. It's a rental. It's like when you go on vacation sometimes and you look at the options to rent, it's like, oh, okay, like, you know what, I like that vehicle. Like, maybe I thought about purchasing that vehicle, I'll rent it. But then when you get in, it takes forever to reach, for the knobs and buttons, and you don't know where the locks are at, and it's like, okay, I don't want that. But you rented it, you saw what it was like, and then you realize, okay, it's not for me. And maybe that was the situation. I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. I'm not in the front office. I just see what you guys see, and I watch the games just like everybody else. But I think that he might be better suited where he doesn't have to be
The
the
guy.
focal point. Yeah, it's like you take Freddie Freeman over him, you take Mookie Betts over him. There's other players that you take Shohei Ohtani, 9 days a week over him. So
Yep.
for him to just kind of fade off into the background and be the auxiliary player that, oh, by the way, makes $60 million a year, not a bad situation. I mean, you tell
100%.
me one dude that wouldn't take that deal. I would. Who wouldn't?
100%. 100%.
No doubt.
Just got to give a shout out to Sean here. Cole hit it on the head. How would we have felt to not had Tucker last year, sign Tucker out of free agency this year, and find out that he wasn't our guy and stuck with him for years on his contract?
Yeah.
Definitely agree with you on that. So one thing I just want to transition to, and it's the whole reason that we're talking here, is what is the next move for the Cubs? Because until CubsCon, I was pretty much like, okay, they're going to maybe get another bench bat, maybe get another, few minor league pitching deals. But now a couple reports out there. First of all, Bleacher Nation this morning saying that the Cubs are still in on Zach Gallen. John Heyman also saying the Cubs are a player for Miguel Andujar, a backup utility guy, mainly outfielder. And then Bruce Levine was very adamant this weekend about how he thinks the Cubs are going to exceed the luxury threshold, and there's still another significant move coming.
Bruce is locked in, man. He's got his finger on the pulse. He's been covering baseball in Chicago for 40 plus years. So, when you see a lot of auxiliary reports, sometimes they're erroneous, but you can usually set your clock by Bruce, and he's normally pretty spot on.
100%. So I guess I'm going to ask you, Cole, when you look at this roster, 26-man expected roster, where do you think the next move is going to happen? And is it going to be a free agency signing, or is it going to be a trade in your mind?
I'm not 100% sure. Like, I wish I knew, and I wish I could, pinpoint something for you. But, I think whatever, like we talked about positioning, whatever positions this team to be successful for the next 2-3 seasons. I don't think they're going to go out there and tie a hand behind their back and make things difficult for them moving forward. But if it makes them successful this year, next year, the year after, I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Maybe they're going to look for a little extra pop. Who knows? Maybe that bench player that they're looking for is able to provide that. Or maybe they go and they try to lock up a guy like Cody Bellinger. Like, I don't know. Like, this is all just me going out on a limb, because then you have Seiya Suzuki DH as opposed to Moises Ballesteros. And then does that make him dispensable? I don't know. I mean, I've also heard that teams are inquiring about Miguel Amaya. So then you go Carson Kelly and Christian Bethancourt, and then Big Mo as your third option catcher. But then that means okay, then it's Amaya and not Ballesteros. So which way do you go? Like, I don't know what teams are inquiring about. I don't know which teams are inquiring. So I think that also plays a huge part into what happens next. How can we make this team better without hamstringing ourselves in the future?
Okay, but on a personal level, not speculating necessarily of what might happen, but when you look at the roster, what do you think is going to make the biggest jump? Is it another starting pitcher? Is it a corner outfielder for that fourth spot, or maybe even, like you said, to be able to move Seiya to the DH? Is it a big-time reliever? Is it a big-time bench guy? What do you think is a missing piece or two that makes this like, okay, that puts the cherry on the top?
I don't know. Like, I love Cody Bellinger, man. You already know that. I covered Cody Bellinger when he was on the Dodgers and he won an MVP. It felt like I was interviewing the dude on the field every day. And even when he was down, I was having conversations with people in that organization. I was saying, like, hey, you guys aren't big on Cody right now. We'd love him over in Chicago. And sure enough, when he came, he was every bit of the gentleman that he was in Los Angeles. He played his heart out. He always hustled. The versatility was there. For him to be able to occupy right field again. I mean, could you imagine Cody and right, PCA in center, Happer in left, Seiya DHing, Bushy at first, Nico at second, Dansby at shortstop, Bregman at third, Carson Kelly behind the plate. I mean, come on now. The gold is bananas. And then the fact that you could have Cody, like, oh, Bushy, you need a day off? Cody, go play first. Yeah. Pete, you want to take a load off? Cody, go play center. It's just the versatility that he provides. And I think, I don't know, like, I would love, I love Cody Bellinger, man. You already know that. I mean, I covered Cody Bellinger when he was on the Dodgers and he won an MVP. It felt like I was interviewing the dude on the field every day. And even when he was down, I was having conversations with people in that organization. I was saying, like, hey, you guys aren't big on Cody right now. We'd love him over in Chicago. And sure enough, when he came, he was every bit of the gentleman that he was in Los Angeles. He played his heart out. He always hustled. The versatility was there. The gold is bananas. And then the fact that you could have Cody, like, oh, Bushy, you need a day off? Cody, go play first. Pete, you want to take a load off? Cody, go play center. like, will the price tag be high? And has it gone up because of the Kyle Tucker deal? Like, I'm sure it has, because to me, Cody Bellinger is a more productive player than Kyle Tucker. Like, I've seen, and I know I'm biased, but I've seen Cody Bellinger at his best, and his best is better than anything that we've seen from Kyle. And not to say that his best isn't yet to come. However, the seasons that I've seen firsthand with Cody Bellinger, even when the pop wasn't always there, the production is the ability to put the ball in play with two strikes, the ability to hit the other way, the ability to hit lefties. I think that that's a big thing, and I think people don't really always take that into consideration. So if you could lock up a guy like Cody Bellinger, and he loved Chicago, I know that he loved playing ball for the Chicago Cubs, and it was more of a positioning move. Cody was getting paid an awful lot at that point. It didn't allow them to free themselves up to make as many moves. So if I could see something, I would hope it would be Cody Bellinger reacquired by the Cubs. He plays right field. Say I DHs. Whether Big Mo is a bargaining chip or not, I would love to see Big Mo flourish in a Cubs uniform. But if you could get something that you already know is a proven commodity, because like I said, everyone else sits there and tells me how much better Kyle Tucker is than Cody Bellinger. But I've seen 40 plus home runs from Cody Bellinger. I've never seen that from Kyle Tucker, and I've seen an MVP season from Cody Bellinger. So we'll see, man.
And I think a lot of people are going to sit here and say, then why didn't they keep him last year? Well, last year is a different situation. You've got a log jam in the outfield.
And he was getting paid, expected to get paid $27 million a year. So, I mean, if you look at everything monetarily, that's what everything comes into play.
So being the devil's advocate side of this, right? Because you know who his agent is, Mr. Boras. He's going to look at this and say, well, look what Tucker just got. And look at the WAR and look at the numbers and look at this and look at that. And he's going to say, I want at least 50 a year for Cody if Kyle's getting 60. Going back to smart spending, I would love Bellinger too. Is that smart, or is it smarter, even though he's got some attitude things potentially, to go get a Framber Valdez for 25 to 30 a year for the next 3 or 4 years and lock up that starter rotation with another ace? And you saw what the Dodgers did, man. There's no such thing as too much pitching.
Yeah, I think Framber Valdez is a dog, no doubt. But the one thing that makes me, a little gun shy on him is I don't know what the relationship with he and his catcher are like. Yeah, but 100%. I mean, when he crossed him up on purpose,
yep.
I mean, you could fastball that dude right in the forearm and shatter his forearm, and his career is over with. Like, I don't know. I would have rather heard a report of Framber Valdez, and I don't even off the top of my head know who that catcher was.
Right.
But I would have rather heard a report like, yeah, Framber Valdez like punched this dude's side of the dude's jaw in, as opposed to doing it like
Carlos
that.
Zambrano on him.
You know what? If you're gonna have beef with a cat, don't do it like, don't do it in public. Go down in the, don't let everyone see this, all this unrest amongst the team. Like, I don't know. And do you want to bring that in? Like we just talked about right off the top, Kyle, about all the guys and the team dichotomy and how good it's going to look, like the show dinners. Do you want a guy who is automatically out of the group chat? I don't know if you want that. So, and I think that other guys see that. If they see that and they think like, well, this dude threw at his own catcher, like, well, I mean, what are we doing here? So I think that there may be a chance to take a step back and say, is this the guy we want, or can we get something else that can make our team productive?
No, I love that. I think where I'm at, and by the way, I want to encourage everyone, we've only got a few minutes left. Please if you put a question in the comments, put it back in there, because the comments have been going crazy. And I want to address one major thing that people are talking about right now in the comments before we go to other questions and wrap this thing up. But
I mean, one of those questions just said that Cody Bellinger wasn't good away from Yankee Stadium. I think, what do you have, 29 pumps? And I think 24 would have been home runs in like 25 ballparks or more. So everyone's like, well, he benefited from Yankee Stadium. Like, not necessarily. I mean, Cody Bellinger's a really good player. I think people might need to remind themselves. And, there's always, and I know I'm kind of a dinosaur when it comes to certain numbers, but like there's certain stats that to me are trick stats. Like OPS, is it a great calculator? Yes. But it sometimes the production is lost. Like I go back a few years ago, a guy like the Yasmani Grandal had a fantastic OPS. But if the game on the line, you don't want him at the plate. I mean, walks don't do as much as putting the ball in play. So I feel like 100%. A guy like Cody Bellinger, He's going to put the ball in play, and he's always going to hustle. He's never going to get booed for not jogging down or not running down to first base.
Yep, 100%. What the comments were going crazy on earlier is something that we definitely need to talk about. It's this whole Nico and Shaw and Bregman, you know, like who's going to get traded. I am in the camp of you need to just keep all of them.
Keep them.
This
Yep.
needs to be like, and I'm sorry, Cubs fans, I don't care who you vote for. Stop bringing politics into Cubs baseball. Matt Shaw is a good player, and that's all I care about. When it comes down to it, Matt Shaw is going to create so much versatility. So will Nico if all three of those guys are on this team. With that said, Cole, what do you think the chances are that all three are on the roster on opening day?
You know, I'm not 100% sure that it sounds a little wishy-washy, but you know, my one thing is I look at it like, would Matt Shaw be the ultimate dude to, okay, give Nico a spell, give Bregman a spell, Dansby, okay, you can filter in wherever you need him to go play outfield. Like Craig said, we might see Matt Shaw, you know, playing a little more outfield this season. The only thing is, like, I don't think you draft a guy first round and have him in his rookie year be a Gold Glove finalist for him to be a backup. You know, that's the only thing. I think a guy like we saw a season ago who elected free agency and David Peralta, you know, I think like those are the kind of players that you want as your wily backup. Oh, Willie Castro, a dude who can do everything, who's been in the league. He's had his shot to become a star. Your first rounder, like in Matt Shaw, I think that's what he's looking for. He's hit at every single level. So I think if there were a deal that were to be packaged up, I don't think that would be a terrible thing. But having a guy like Matt Shaw to be able to be that fill-in guy, the one that, you know, that placeholder every other day, I think that would be pretty good. But like I said, you don't want a first-round draft pick in his second season to be a role player. I mean, and I think maybe other teams can find a spot for him, and it all depends on, you know, what's the perfect situation right now, not only for the Chicago Cubs as a franchise moving forward, but for other teams. Where are their needs at? And you know, it's not a knock, but if you keep him, that he makes your team stronger. But can he make your team even stronger if there's a package that is enticing enough? That's the question.
Well, and I think the key word there is enticing, right? Because if a team comes and says, hey, we're going to give you X, Y, and Z, it's going to make your team better here in 2026, then, you know, you definitely listen to that.
Yeah.
But if it's like, hey, we're going to trade away Matt Shaw for some prospects, and I'm like, no, just keep him. So I think this is
one thing that makes me wonder. I wonder if Eugenio Suarez, who's still on the market, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I didn't even realize
talk about him either.
Right, and I don't think people. And he's older, I know, but the dude has tons of clap. I mean, the way he swings the stick is next level. Yeah. Would he be willing to DH? I mean, I know he's a third baseman, clearly, but the numbers he puts up, can you get some
Especially
DH
Wrigley.
pop out of him?
Especially
he's getting a little bit older. Yeah, he's getting a little bit older. Okay, man, like just swing it. And DH is hard. It's not an easy thing to do. So I don't know if that's something he'd be on board for, but I feel like if, you know, imagine you throw him in the lineup. It's danger zone, man.
Yep. Well, and a good point here by Super Cubs 09. There's going to be injuries. We will need Shaw. So, I mean, you know, yeah, you could say, well, you know, you got James Triantos down there in the minor leagues. Well, you know, he didn't do also so well in 2025 down there in the minors. So, I mean, you talk about, I loved, was it Jed? I think it was Jed at CubsCon said, like, you know, you think about back to 2016, you had Zobrist playing the outfield and sometimes second base. You had Javi playing sometimes second, third, and short. You had Bryant playing sometimes third, sometimes left field. And that's what I think this really gives the Cubs is an opportunity to be able to say, hey, Matt Shaw, you're an athlete. Go out there to left field. If Travis Wood can play left field, you can play left field. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I do really love that idea. But also, if a team came and said, we love Shaw, and here's an ace, or here's a bona fide closer that we don't need this year. I don't even know anyone off the top of my head, so that's just completely speculation. You got to listen.
Yeah, and I think it's when you look at Matt Shaw and his versatility that may begin to take a lot of shape. I think that's just the sign of the times. Like if you're a young player and you're like, well, I'm a shortstop. I'm like, okay. Like if I was a coach and I was someone looking at getting players and bringing them to my organization, whether it be, a high school, a collegiate organization, or drafting a guy, if someone says, I only play this position, I'm like, all right, next. Guess
Yeah.
what? Like you're not athletic enough to play as many positions as possible. Like what makes you so much better that you don't need to play multiple positions? Like Ernie Banks plays shortstop and first base. You better than Ernie Banks? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like I just
Yeah.
saw the other day, I saw a drag bunt tutorial online from Mickey Mantle. Like everyone nowadays says that bunts now are stupid. All they do is give away outs. You don't want to minimize at bats. I'm like, okay, if you think you're better than Mickey Mantle, then you
Yep.
show me someone who's better than Mickey Mantle right now. I mean, I'll show you
That's good.
probably the entire league that is not better than Mickey Mantle. So if he can lay down a drag bunt, I just feel like it's all the little things. So I don't know. I just got derailed. I'm the old man on my soapbox now. So
No, you're good. I like this, by the way, by Matt Scarpelli. How about Ben Joyce on the Angels for
sure.
Matt Shaw?
Volunteer fireman, man.
Listen to that. Listen to that for sure.
He throws pellets. I mean, he's the hardest throwing collegiate pitcher in the history of college baseball, and they have the hardest throwing softball pitcher too. So the Tennessee Volunteers are all about velo.
I saw a video the other day of a 16-year-old throwing 101.
His name is Cole.
What world do we live in? Yeah. Yeah. Also from Super Cubs, Cole, who do you think is going to be our closer? Is it Danny P? Is it what do you call him? Danny Smokes?
Danny Smoke, man. Yeah. Parker Mead came up with that, our Marquee Sports Network junior broadcaster winner. I don't want to copyright infringe on the young man, so I just like to tip my cap to him whenever I can. Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I think, and that's the thing. Like, do you need another ace when you already have a lockdown starting rotation, and then other guys who can fill in those holes? I mean, I don't know. I think that we're 1 year better. I think everyone is 1 year older. They have one more year of experience. I think the Daniel Palencia figuring out, is he a closer? Yes. Were there a few bumps along the way? Yeah, there were. I mean, are we going to miss Brad Keller? Is it going to be tough to see him pitch for the Cincinnati Reds? Yeah, because he's a dog, man. Like that dude. I mean, this is a guy who shot I think a 69 at Chicago Golf Club, the oldest golf course in North America. At sight unseen, the first time. I mean, this course eats dudes up. So he's cool, he's calm, he's collected. You're gonna miss him. Was he in that role as well? But yes, he was. A guy like Caleb Thielbar. Sometimes you look at him, it's like, oh, can he come out? He can get these last 3 outs, man. This guy is that dude. But Daniel Palencia, I mean, I think you cement yourself when you have an entrance and walkout music as a closer, then you're kind of a closer. And when you throw triple digits with regularity, I think that makes it that much easier. So I'm gonna go with Danny P, man.
Okay.
Yep.
Listen, super appreciate all of the chat. They have been blowing it up. Not a ton of questions here, aside from just this last one, and then I'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. But Cole, super appreciate you. I know you probably are not going to have an answer on this, but I think it is worth at least a question here, and that is, I'm not even going to say the name. Are the Cubs and Nico at an extension impasse? I would say, are the Cubs and Nico, do you think, in extension talks? Because that to me would make, like, even if they don't get anyone else this offseason, that would be just the cherry on top for what a great offseason this has been.
It would make a lot of sense. I hope they are. I mean, that's. I mean, I'm sitting there with you. G7D2 underscore. Yeah, there's a lot of numbers and letters in there. It looks like an algebraic equation, but hopefully the final answer to that is yes. That there will be an extension right around the corner. Like I said, I don't know. Fingers crossed, because Nico, he's one of those heartbeat guys, man. And I know a lot of people don't put a lot of stock in batting average, but when you're close to 300, you're the closest dude to the only dude in the National League who hit 300, Trey Turner, who had a few games off towards the back end of the season. So Nico the whole time was just sticking and moving. I hope that's the direction that the Cubs are going in, because I mean, Nico's one of those glue guys. He's the clubhouse guy. When they go to dinner, he's there. Whether he's picking up the check or not, who knows? But to have a Gold Glover, a guy who flirts with 300 every time he's in the batter's box, that's what you want. He's a mainstay.
Quick shout out. We got Mr. Obvious Joe himself in the comments here. I like Cole. I like Kyle. I like the Cubs, but I love Reggie Wayne.
That's funny. I like me, Kyle. I love you. I love the Cubs, but Reggie Wayne, I hate his guts. Hopefully we can get a copy of this. No, I'm just kidding, man. Like, Like some of these pictures, like I think there's a picture right here from New Year's Eve with me and Reggie and MJD where we're clowning. There's a picture on the wall when James Jones said that when Drew Brees set the record in a Monday Night Football game for, I don't know if it was touchdowns or passing yards. James Jones said, man, I don't know. It's like, Drew Brees doesn't do anything special to me. There's a picture of myself, Reggie, and MJD where we're all like, and it's like frozen in time. It's so fantastic, man. So
personally signed Drew Brees.
There we go.
Ball right there. So
absolutely,
I'm with you.
Yeah, no, Reggie's one of the best, man. You know, we always goof around, and we have, you know, our online, you know, I don't even know what it is. It's an online beef, whatever it may be. But man, he's one of the best, man. Love that guy.
All right, hey Cole, thank you so much. Love doing these with you. We'll have to catch up again during the regular season when the Cubs are just running away with the division.
Yes, sir.
And Alex Bregman is chasing down, you know, another Gold Glove and maybe even a batting title or something like that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, brother. And thank you all for who are in the comments. Thanks for all the questions. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
No doubt.